Okay, apparently when you press the stop button, that stops the recording. So I'll pick up where I left off last night. And we're in Wings to Adventure, Lost in the Marshlands. I love you guys. I'm very proud of you. After making sure that the big boat was tied well, Gabby walked swiftly up the narrow plank walk that led to his home. This was a large, sprawling, unpainted house built of weatherboard. Its roof was covered with tar paper. Like the plank walk, the house was raised on poles above the marsh to lift it over the floodwaters that came almost every year. Gaby entered the large room that was the kitchen, dining room, and living room in one. His father was lighting the coal oil lamp which stood in the middle of the kitchen table. He turned around and half smiled at his son. "You are sure growing fast, Gaby." "Yeah," he said in the typical speech of the French Cajun marshlander. Gaby hung his slicker on a marsh deer's antlers fastened to the wall and walked to the wood hold on red hot wood stove. As he warmed his hands, he looked up to his father. "I'm big enough to help you on your trap line this season." "Yeah, me, Pa," he said. Praying LaJoy looked at his son. For the past 2 years, this question had come up at the beginning of each trapping season. Gaby longed to go with his father to his trapper's cabin, a full day's boat ride from the river village where they lived. This cabin was on a bayou right on the edge of the Gulf of Mexico. There, Preen LaJoy and had his trapping land where he stayed alone for weeks each winter, trapping the fur animals that lived in the marsh. Some of this land was on a high willow ridge. This was good land for raccoons and mink, while the low marsh around it was good mostly for muskrats. "You want to grow too fast. Yeah, you, Gaby," said the trapper said after a while. He spoke very slowly and shook his head. "It's good to be a boy." "Yeah, Gaby." Gaby looked thoughtful. He gazed at the rough wooden floor and at his own bare feet. He knew what his father meant. A Delta boy goes out into the marsh early in life, and that life is far from easy. Yet in his heart, Gaby knew. Yet in his heart, Gaby had long been wishing he were grown and could run his own trapline. He looked up with a start as his father's voice broke through his dreaming. "I'll tell you something, me," the tall marshman was saying. "We'll try it. This year you come with me. You get your books from school, yeah. I can help you with your studies. Tomorrow we'll go for firewood. When we have enough to last the family through the winter, yeah, we'll start for camp. The season opens this week. I'll get the license for us tonight, me." So a few days later, Gaby and his father loaded the Seraphine L with supplies and sailed to Preen LaJoy's trapping land to spend the winter. The days rolled on, some good, some not so good. Gaby and his father took them all in stride. The winds shifted, the weather changed, the water rose and fell, as it so often does down in the Delta. The winter passed by quickly for both Gaby and his father. Soon the days grew warm, and the mosquitoes and the blowflies made the most of it. Huge, thick, evil-looking Congo snakes, as well as the deadly cottonmouth moccasin of the marshland, came out of hibernation and coiled on top of muskrats' nests to get out of the wet. Sometimes alligators came out to lie in the sunshine. They were numb from their long sleep. These creatures were even deadlier than the Congo snakes. Gaby watched every log that rested along the bayou shore. One of them might turn out to be an alligator. Now the fog came in wisps that floated up the bayou on the soft southern breezes. It was a deadlier enemy than the Congos or even the gators. You couldn't run away from the fog. The southern winds blew the warm delta air over the icy river, and almost instantly a thick blanket of fog would spread everywhere. It clung, it wiped out landmarks, it hid the world. One day, Gaby ran into what I think this is a good place to pause for tonight. Sorry it took a little later than usual tonight. I had a little issue at work. I'm very proud of y'all. You are very loved, and I'll see you in a little bit, like I always say. Sweet dreams.